So you want to take on your own virtual summit? Well, sit back, grab a notebook, and let's talk all about how I prepped for the Anchored in Learning Virtual Summit. Hi friends, my name is Vanessa Elzate, and on this channel, I help instructional designers and e-learning developers level up, not only in instructional design, but also in business. And so today I'm going to talk about this really big thing that I did. We just finished the Anchored in Learning Virtual Summit. Hell yeah! It was incredible. It was a labor of love. I do definitely feel like I birthed something else, but it was absolutely incredible and amazing and totally like filled my cup. And it's definitely something that if you're looking to get yourself out there more, really build some brand awareness around yourself and your business. And if you're someone that wants to step up on stage and you've been putting in for a few proposals and you've done a couple of conferences before and you want to really elevate yourself as a speaker, this is a really great opportunity to do so. So, I think around January or February of 2021, my old boss messaged me on LinkedIn, and she had saw someone posted about, creating their own virtual summit and what it did for their business. And she sent me the link and she's like, you could do this. She's like, this is definitely up your alley. And don't hand me a challenge or something really big and not expect me to turn around and be like, I'm going to do this and it's going to be amazing. And so it just really sparked something in me that was like, wow, I could really put something together that provides value. What I was seeing with a lot of conferences that I was going to, whether in person or virtual, is a lot of the conversations that we were having were so theory-based, and they weren't necessarily practical. And for me, I'm cool with talking about a theory or talking about these big picture things, but I want to know how to do things. And I was seeing that as a need for us, for instructional designers. I wanted something that would create a community and create connection amongst other instructional designers. And so you know what? I said, this sounds really cool. I love a challenge. So let's do it. And that really, was the catalyst of this entire year, and really from February to September, planning the Anchored in Learning Virtual Summit. I had to really sit down and talk to my team about what this was all going to entail and what really kind of map out why it is important that I was doing the summit. So I definitely recommend that if you're looking to do your own summit, really sit back and think about why you want to do this. And I just want to be clear about this. When you come from a place of servant leadership, you are paid back tenfold in the future, right? And I don't mean monetarily necessarily, yes, that all comes, but when you really come from a place of service, it is the transformation that you can make for other people that just feel warms your heart and fills you up. Knowing that someone took something from the conference and is going to apply them to their job to make them better, I'm good. So for me, I started planning the conference back in February and March. I wanted to make sure that I put a lot of time and thought and care into planning for the conference, and I didn't want to just slap something together. Could I have done something faster? Yeah, absolutely. I just knew for myself I needed to really take a beat and really plan out how this was all going to work. This was not a huge audience size, and I appreciate that I took that time. I think that if I had done something in the summer, it would have been good, but so many people are on vacation and things like that, it really wouldn't have we wouldn't have maxed out on our opportunity. And so we chose, when we were sitting down and thinking about the calendar, we ended up choosing September 9th and 10th. And I'll tell you in a minute why I decided to choose 2 days. But I felt that was a good time. It was after Labor Day, before DevLearn. It was after the ATD conference, and it just felt people were going to be coming back to work and ready to kill the last quarter of the year and get prepared for 2022. And it just felt it was an appropriate time when people would be thinking about professional development again. Whew, was that rough. So this summer was crazy from like August to September. So I was supposed to be on vacation at the very last week of July, and then it ended up having to get moved to the first week of August. I never moved it on my calendar. So it has completely derailed my entire August and like September, and really put things like really back to back that I had a little bit more breathing room before. So I ended up going on vacation the beginning of August, and then I was like home for a few days. My friend came to visit me from Orlando, and then I left for another quick like beach trip, and then I came back, and then I was in Salt Lake City, and then I came back, and I had my girl's birthday party as soon as I came back, and then it was the summit. So it's definitely like a lot at one time for me personally. So I definitely would recommend, like, if you're thinking about a conference, really looking at a bigger calendar. And I did not really put in like personal stuff on there. I just like, I knew like I always have my kid's birthday party the Saturday of Labor Day weekend. It's like right smack dab in the middle of both of their birthday parties. And then like I have options to move it in case it rains and I have an outdoor party. Welcome to the way my brain works. And so I should have sat down with like one of those huge like desk calendars or like my paper planner and like really sat and thought about that. So definitely recommend you don't do that, right? Plan, think about your personal life and what you have going on, and like then plan for that. I didn't do that, and it was very stressful towards the end. I'm very thankful that I had a team to help me, and I paid for that team to help me. So with that, the other thing that I did was I went out and I sought someone who had experience in virtual summits and in marketing them, because I could do what I could do based on like, you know, marketing and all of that, but like I didn't have like the full big picture, and it was the best investment I made. Chris really helped to like rein me in. Like he kept on top of things. He kept on top of like making sure we got a platform, on top of sponsorships, on top of, you know, emailing attendees and like all this stuff, and brought things to my attention that like needed to get brought to my attention, but then took care of things that like didn't have to be brought to my attention necessarily. Like, hey, just let you know I did this, I took care of it. And really like that, like those 2 days like took care of like running so much of it when like I was trying to like facilitate a lot of the day. So I have to say like that was an investment, a big investment that I made for the summit, but it was helpful for me. There's too much going on at work, with the business, in our like my personal life, that I couldn't have done it all. So definitely think about how much you can commit to it, because if you want to do this right, you have to commit time, energy, and really like financials to it, right? Unless you do everything like yourself, and even that's financial because you could be working on, you know, projects per se, or you're taking up personal time to work on it. You really do have to like think about that investment that you're going to make, and understand if that investment, like if you can make that investment at that time. So I ended up announcing the summit like super early. I announced it back on April 9th. It is my birthday. I wanted something fun to celebrate my birthday. And so I said, you know what, like I was like, oh, I could have like confetti or like sparklers, because I love things that are sparkly and confetti-ish. And so we announced the summit on my birthday, which gave us a little less than 6 months to really market and plan and get, you know, people to attend. For sure, it was, I think, like really far out to tell people, but it really helped to like help us plan out the marketing for like the entire year. It also helped like take a little bit of pressure off of me, where I felt like I announced and then I asked for speakers. Like I did everything with time, where it wasn't all like trying to get everything crammed in like 2 months. So for me, that worked better, was to give myself that time, that space, and like that breathing room to really figure some things out, especially for my first one. So the next thing that you want to do is figure out who your audience is, right? Who's coming? Who are you marketing this to? And it's something that we talk so much about as instructional designers, right? Is like really thinking about your learner and being learner focused, and how are they going to like participate, and what do they want to know about? So I really sat down and I figured out who my learner was going to be, and that helped to like influence everything else, right? What the theme was, what are the challenges, the pain points, like why do they want to come to this conference? Right? Like they don't want to just come to see me. They want to come because they're trying to get something out of it. And I want to make sure that they're getting what they are like what they need and what's going to help them in their career, or, you know, whatever their current problem is at work, right? Some pain point that they're trying to solve at work. And I wanted to make sure that we offered those opportunities. So I had to really make sure I knew our audience. And it's something that can be very difficult, and sometimes it like shifts and evolves a little bit based on what like you're seeing and how you're seeing like speaker proposals come in and all of that. But like, you really want to be clear on your ideal client or your ideal audience member. And so with that definitely helped to like influence the type of programming that we wanted to offer. And it really helped as we were trying to narrow down speakers. I didn't have speakers beforehand. I did a call for speakers after we announced the summit. The reason for that is because I wanted to give the opportunity for people to speak who don't normally speak at these like bigger conferences. And it was very important for me to do that. And that's why I really like the route that we ended up taking, where we had pre-recorded sessions. So like if it was one of your first time speaking and you ended up with a pre-recorded session, you had like the opportunity to like edit or go back and refilm yourself and really practice, and then watch yourself to help give you tips and like kind of give yourself feedback on your speaking style and how you can maybe improve, or what you really like that you did for when you're on stage, like in front of a live audience. And so that's why I really didn't like go through my own networks or anything like that. I really put out the call, and I wanted it to be broad, and I wanted people to just like dive in. And I have to say, like, the speakers that we had were all incredible. Everyone was amazing. I had reached out to some of them that I thought would be great, and then just others found me through LinkedIn or like other people who shared out my call for speakers, and it really was, you know, just amazing. They really gave value and were engaging throughout the entire conference, and really engaged not just during their session, but like on the app that we used after, like during the conference, and, you know, before and after their session. So I really have to say, like, the speakers were incredible. So if you do have the opportunity to open up your stage to people that have maybe never spoken before, don't go in like with your own agenda. Just like put it out there, and you could always like reach out to people to apply or ask them if they'd be interested in like a keynote or like a spot here or there. But I really think that there is an amazing opportunity to open it up to everybody, to see the type of speakers that you get back and the types of proposals. You might get proposals that you didn't even think about fitting into your conference or your summit, and you really get so much more return on your investment for that. So then I had to think about like the format. And so what we ended up choosing was 2 days, 12 to 5. I figured that for West Coasters, that'd be like 9 to 2 or 3, 2, 9 to 2, 9 to 2. So it wasn't too early in their day. And I didn't want to take up the entire day, because I know that we have a lot going on, and you are returning back from like Labor Day. So you probably had work to catch up on. I also wanted to make sure that it was, you know, something that wasn't too much going on. So that's why I kept things pretty much like in one track for my first conference. So the formatting was maybe a little bit different, and would I do it again? I would maybe try multiple tracks next time, now that we have a conference under our belt. But like for your first one, having one track kept everything very manageable, and kept everything very organized. The Whova app is definitely what we used to like put everything together, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But that would have definitely been good, because it could, like, you can create your schedule and all of that. You can see the different tracks, but I wanted to be sure that I was able to handle it for the first time. So that's why I chose one track, 12 to 5, and had those pre-recorded sessions in the middle where people could watch them throughout the week, and then they can pop in to speak to their favorite speaker and ask any questions and things like that. So I definitely recommend choosing a format that you can personally handle and that your schedule can handle for your first time out. The other thing that I definitely had to, you have to think about, and that I had to think about, was what was I charging for this summit? Since it was my first one, and honestly, like, there was a huge investment that I had to make on it, but I just wanted it to be accessible for everybody, right? And I wanted it to be something that people could pop into. And I didn't want there to be a barrier because I knew that we had such wonderful content. So I made it free. And this is something that's definitely up to you. I know people who charge for their summits, anything from $27 to $600, right? Depending on like how many days you participate and all of that. So it's definitely up to you. I just, for my first one, didn't feel comfortable charging for my very first summit without having like any proof or like if this was going to work or any of that. Do I think that we gave a lot of value for free? Absolutely. And a lot of it actually came through the app that we ended up using. So I definitely recommend that you consider for your first one doing it for free, even if it's on like a smaller scale, or just charging a nominal fee, $27, $47, something like that. Really, it invests people. But without making it too much where they can't, invest the money or it's too high of a ticket for them to attend. That being said, I will say we had 460 something registrations. We definitely didn't have that many people day up, and I expected that, and that's why we were recording things, and it's in the workday. Like, I get it. I also think people didn't opt in or like join us because it was free. So it didn't cost them anything to like not attend, right? And they figured, oh, I'll get the recordings and maybe eventually I'll watch them. I do think that if you charge for your summit, you will have you'll see more people show up because they paid to be there. So that's something to think about, right? So maybe instead of charging, like the event is free, but if you want access to the recordings, you pay for the VIP ticket, right? And it's like $47 or something like that. And that really invests people more in what you're doing. So that's something that you're going to want to think about, what's best for you. Like I said, I did everything free. We ended up selling a project management ebook that I wrote and like has a whole bunch of templates, a toolkit. So we ended up selling that, but that was just like an add-on. That wasn't something that was originally part of the summit. It was something that we decided to do over the summer, that I, curated over the summer. So it's something for you to think about. It's definitely, I don't know. It's a hard conversation to have. And it's something that I definitely recommend that if you're going to end up charging for your conference, do your market research. Find out what people are willing to pay for, how much, definitely talk to your ideal attendee and see what they would pay before you just go and start charging something, because you could end up really like charging too much for something that they wouldn't pay that much for, or just like not in their budget at that time. Also, if you're going to charge for something, you want to think about timeline. So maybe the holiday season isn't the best time for you to put together a conference, because people are probably spending any extra money that they have on their loved ones for the holidays. So those are like all these little things that you want to think about. So I ended up doing sponsors. And the reason for that is because I did have some fees. So I wanted to help offset some of them, including the Whova platform that we utilized. So we ended up with like a 3-tier sponsorship program, and we had 3 sponsors at the like 2nd tier, and then we had 1 sponsor, 7 tabs at the enterprise level. It was truly like, these sponsors were great. Really offered so much value to the attendees, and 7 tabs was even doing a giveaway of AirPods Max if you use their platform and you shared like what you learned at the summit. And they were like, Kate was just like kept chatting with me. It was just like, loved every minute of it, was giving me great feedback, and really offered a lot of value to our attendees. So it ended up being great. I know that people feel weird about sponsorships. For me, it's just a way to like put tools out there or things out there that people want it, like that people need, and you like have an opportunity to put it in front of their faces. So one of the sponsors was my video editor, right? Like, if you want to end up on, YouTube or like editing stuff, or doing like video and stuff, that's someone that you might need, like really thinking outside of the box. It wasn't your typical like Beyond and stuff like that, or like Articulate wasn't sponsoring it, but like my brand operations manager like was one of the sponsors, right? branding and marketing, that's something that you will need as an instructional designer and if you're building your business. So why wouldn't I put someone like that in front of, your face? Or RIS personalized solutions. Like a lot of people that were coming to this event also are course creators, or they're thinking about launching their first course. She offers coaching and help with those types of things. So why wouldn't I put those opportunities in front of you, so that you're able to like look around and take things that you might utilize, maybe not in the moment, but later, as you continue to build your business. I was really excited that we did the sponsorships. It's definitely an area I would love to grow out and really make like a marketplace, or like an expo hall, one year, just so like we really provide like tools and out of the box solutions for our attendees to utilize and really like also help build their business. And then I keep talking about the platform, but the platform. So we ended up going with Whova. I looked at a few different options, and Whova was just like the simplest for me to understand. I had used in the past and had good experiences with it. And it was like the highlight of the whole like 2-day event. People were loving the engagement, the leaderboard. People were able to like upload photos. We did a photo contest. People were able to share out where they were in the leaderboard. So people were sharing out how they were doing on the leaderboard, like on LinkedIn and their social media pages. And it really helped to bring more awareness of the Anchored in Learning Summit just through this like platform. So if you have the opportunity to, utilize a platform, I definitely recommend it. It streamlined the whole process. People saw their agenda. They were able to talk and engage. Like the community board is lit. And I think people are like, really thinking about like still utilizing it, right? They're still using it now. I'm sure they'll continue to use it. I think it's open for like 6 months. I definitely have to check on that. And then at the very end, I actually have it sitting in my inbox right now. They gave me a whole report of like what happened at the summit, who engaged, what did people do, so that I could really see the analytics of like what was going on in the back end. It was definitely 1,000% worth my investment. Is it the perfect solution? No. Are there things that I would probably change? Yes. But by and by, like I really have no complaints about it on my side. That being said, there's a survey out to learn more from the attendees, how they felt about it. So I might be saying something different after I look at all of those results in a week. And then the biggest thing, if you're looking to do your own like summit, is promotion and really talking about it a lot. To the point where like you may think that you're being annoying, but you want to know something, like people don't see everything that you post, even though you think that everyone sees everything that you post. So it is definitely something that you want to continue to talk about so it stays top of mind. People miss things all the time, or people share things or like things resonate and then they realize like you're having a summit and they're like, oh, you know what? I really want to like jump in on that. So really making sure that you're talking about it, encouraging your speakers to talk about it, encouraging your sponsors to do their due diligence in promoting the event, and really just like share it far and wide. We even talked about it when we were in Salt Lake City at the ATD conference. Like we talked about it a lot. I went on Instagram stories doing like question and answers about it, like all these different things. It is important that if you're doing your own summit that you market. We didn't do any paid advertisement, no Facebook ads, nothing. Every single 460, every single attendee, all 460 of them, was purely organic registration. And it's incredible. I thought, like, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, we're gonna maybe get 50. People asked me. I'm like, people don't know me that well. I don't know who wants to come to this. And then registrations started coming in, and we're like, okay, 250 looks like doable. Cool. And then one day, probably like mid-August, or maybe even the beginning of August, Chris goes to me, Vanessa, we're at like 300. And then it just started like exploding from there. And we ended up with 460. Like we were like, okay, our plan for Whova only allowed for 500. We're going to have to like last minute add a whole bunch of more registrations. Like people were jumping in like in the middle of day one, because they saw like people having fun and engaging and all of that. Like it was crazy. I cannot thank everybody enough for believing in me and trusting in me and signing up for it. Like I know that so many of you like will receive so much value from what we did and what we talked about in that conference. And that's why I wanted to make sure that you had the recordings and you're able to go back to them. But I really had like so much, like I just can't thank everybody enough. Like it was insane. When it was like over 400, I'm like, who am I? Like, who is she? What gives her the right? But then here I am. And it was just a testament to like, honestly, Chris and like the team for continuing to like talk about it, you know, really like showcase the value, and really a testament to the speakers for really thinking about like the attendees first. So when you're doing your summit, don't worry about registration numbers until the very end, because things are going to like roll slowly, slowly, slowly. And then all of a sudden, like the last month, and especially the last couple of weeks, it's going to like go crazy. And you're going to get so many registrations, and people are telling you that. And I'm like, oh, they're probably just telling me that to make me feel better. And then it really happened. So if you're doing your part and you're providing value and you're really thinking about your attendee first, and you're doing all the things and you're marketing and you're really talking about it, you'll be fine, friends. You're going to have people come to your summit. And make sure you put on your vision board how many. 500 ended up, so it was the first 250, and then I bumped it up to 500 when we hit 250. So we were a little shy of 500, but you know what? That is a freaking win. And you know what? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, I had such an amazing time. I bought a whole bunch of giveaways, so many books. I got Tim Slade's book that he signed while I saw him in Salt Lake City. Like, that ended up being given away. Like, we really had a lot of fun, and we just made the event fun. Like, everything that I wished like I could do at a summit, and things that I missed from in-person summits, like networking, we did that. And I think that it really was by and by a success. So I'm really happy with the way everything turned out. I think everyone had a wonderful time. Like I said, I'm still collecting survey responses, and like, that's my last bit for you. Make sure you're collecting feedback in order for you to do better if you want to do it again. Don't assume because you had a really great feeling from it, like that everything went well. Not everything went well. People are going to have feedback, or they're going to want more, or ask them what they want. Like, what do you want to learn about next? And do those things in order to make your next summit or your next conference even better. But don't be scared, friend. Like, you can do this. If I can do it, you can certainly do it. I am not any bigger than anybody. Like, I am just who I am. I'm just me talking to my camera. And I was able to put together a really successful summit. And I know that you can too. And so with that, if you are looking for additional feedback tips as a freelance instructional designer or e-learning developer, make sure you join the Freelance Learning and Development Network on Facebook. The link is down below. It's a community here to talk, chat, be your sounding board. It is a safe space for you to really get some insights and feedback on instructional design and challenges you might be having and all of those things. Friends, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.